On May 16th, 2020, I went up to Ayer for a quick chase of 23K with a duo of SD70 Aces. This duo is 1147 and 1099, both of which were delivered to Norfolk Southern in 2013 and 2014, although they are technically Aces of two different generations. Overall, I'd classify NS Aces into 4 categories, which are detailed in this chart. Today's 23K is a 3rd gen Ace leading and a 2nd gen Ace trailing. Here's 23K pulling out at Moores from the Ayer West Y with the first cut of cars. This operation is known as building. Ayer yard is not large enough to fit the whole train, so it's broken into multiple pieces known as cuts. Building is when the conductor stands on the end of the train and radios to the engineer when to back up and when to stop, in addition to throwing switches. Here's 23K reversing back into the yard to grab the second and final cut. Next up, I drove to Shirley's S-curve. Here's 23K, which got up to track speed really quickly. Here's 23K getting on the move west to Chicago. These 64 cars are all bound for Chicago, but before 23K gets to Chicago, it'll stop in Mechanicville to pick up some double stacks. 23K is all single stack from Ayer to Mechanicville due to clearance issues in the Hoosac Tunnel, but west of Mechanicville, the line can handle double stack clearances, so 23K can have double stacks. 22K, the eastbound counterpart, used to be all single stack from Chicago to Ayer, but since NS206, an intermodal from Chicago to Mechanicville was cut to Buffalo, 22K has taken 206's cars that would have gone to Mechanicville. 23K has always had a mix of double and single stacked cars from Mechanicville to Chicago due to more containers going west than east. If you're west of Mechanicville, New York as of now, 22K and 23K are all both domestic containers, with double stacks for Mechanicville towards the front of the train and single stacks for Ayer towards the end of the train. A week later, I headed back up to Ayer to see 23K with the 8025 Monongahela Heritage unit trailing. I ended up arriving quite early, but luckily there was an AY relief in the area to keep me entertained. Here's AY relief at Ayer. After seeing AY relief at Ayer Station, I headed a few minutes west to Moores. Here's AY relief heading towards the camp siding. AY Relief pulled out on the Y before backing into Ayer, as I saw. I went off to drop 30 trash containers at a new industry near Willows in Ayer. After dropping off the empties, it grabbed some loaded stacks and dropped them at camp, where they were later picked up by POED and transferred to 11R, then 11Z, then 15T, then 341, and finally to A73, where the cars would be unloaded in Uniontown, Alabama. Here's AY Relief returning to the yard. With AY Relief out of the way, 23K could pull out and start building. Here it is at Morse. Notice the flags the crew put on the front for Memorial Day. After seeing 23K at Moore's, I headed out to Shirley to see it at the S-curve.
Alright, launcher, close the top.
That concludes my short 23K chase with 8025. Also, I tried a new thing today. I attached a GoPro to the bottom of my camera. Here's a first-person view of 23K. The next day, there was another special NS unit on 23K, but I wasn't able to see it. My friend Hess, Steampunk Rail Videos, came in clutch though. He brought his second camera to film for me. This footage looked very similar to mine, but it was filmed by him. Thanks, Hess. Here's 23K pulling out at Moore's. Here's 23K a few miles west at Shirley. The second unit, 4002, was one of the first AC-44 C6Ms, so it has a special red main paint scheme, although the main is mostly black with a small red stripe. A week later, I had the same dilemma. 23K had a special unit, this time 8025 leading, and I didn't have a ride to go see it. My friend Petru, Amtrak Productions this time, brought his GoPro and grabbed a shot for me in Gardner.